to be entertained and to enjoy them at the expense of the values for which I live, or the values for which I was created. And when it is against me in my perception, whether at the home level, or the work level, or the street level, social level, the political level, whatever level, when it is not the way I like, then it is time for me and an opportunity for me to be patient and forbearing and uphold my values when things are adverse. I am not a Muslim only when things go the way I want. When things don't go the way I want, when I'm challenged, I dilute my values. I dilute my values. I compromise my constants. My constants. There are variables, but there are constants when it goes against me. Or I get too angry, or too high-tempered, and too restless, and despair. That's not a character of one who professes from his or her heart to be a Muslim. And it is an opportunity for those who are not Muslim, for example, in the way we understand Islam, to observe us in prosperity and in adversity. What is this Islam and these Muslims in prosperity? Let's see how they behave. What are they? Some of us, even in prosperity, we fail because we see only ourselves and we enjoy what we have and we have power and we disregard this notion that that's also a trial. And they observe. And not only that, but when they are challenged, when they are hurt, when they are injured, when they are wounded, how do they react? Do they react like a ferocious beast, a wild beast, or do they react like a composed, believing, faithful, filled with moral values being? You are. Whether you are aware of it or not. The way we behave towards one another are, of course, examples to others, Muslims and others. And the way we behave in adversity and in prosperity is an example to others. Besides the fact that all is recorded. Allah will. Allah says, I remind myself and you, Alif Lam Mim, أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. Alif Lam Mim. Do human beings believe that we are going to leave them to say and to claim we have faith in God, we have faith in Allah, without being tested? Without, in other words, requiring evidence from that claim, for that claim. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. This is God's laws in nature. And even those who don't believe in God, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, know that this is a natural law, they would call it, of going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It never ceases. So Allah says, this has happened to people before also. وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّا الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. However, for you to know and Allah to see it in action, in reality, for He has always known in eternity, now He subhanahu wa ta'ala knows in practice, it has actualized. فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. From that shall be extracted those who are truthful and those who only make claims. To say, أَنَا أُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ, I have faith in God, in Allah Azza wa Jalla. That implies all the values, I underline all the values I uphold, I hold, I claim in my relationship to the divine must be expressed in this challenge. If they are not, it's only a claim. فليعلمن الله الذين صدقوا ويعلمن الكاذبين. And then he says subhanahu wa ta'ala afterwards, من كان يرجو لقاء الله فإن أجل الله لآت وهو السميع العليم. After this he mentions subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who truly desires and hopes to encounter Allah Azza wa Jal, that appointed time shall come. In other words, if I am one whose hope is to encounter Allah, to connect with Allah, know that it will come. Meaning what? Meaning live your life in action and in reaction like someone who truly is only interested in the encounter of the divine. And therefore, when it is for me, I should not forget Him. I should not abuse what I have of resources or wealth or health or power or security or peace. I must not abuse that and forget Him in using that. This is not only at the political or military levels. It starts at home. It starts with the individual. It starts at work. And therefore, the one who desires the encounter of Allah, that encounter will come, and know that Allah is Sami' Alim. See what he says? Sami', all hearing. In other words, He hears what you claim and what you say, and He knows, all Alim. He knows what you are doing and not doing to fulfill that commitment or not to fulfill that commitment. Says Allah Azza wa Jalla, my beloved brothers and sisters, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً. This is not faith. Allah says, نَبْلُوكُمْ, we do test you by the good things and the bad things. بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ. And He begins here in this ayah by mentioning the bad things, so that you don't forget that as well. And maybe that means overall humanity is always subject to things that human beings will not be comfortable with. نَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ. We do test you by that which you construe as bad things, as well as we test you with those that are good things. In other words, challenges and opportunities. Challenges and opportunities. Fitna as a trial. As a trial. The ultimate intent behind which is for you to know God. For you to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we don't know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only through the good things. Those who think know Him through the good things only, and many of us even through that we don't know Him. They don't know Him well enough. We are subject to bad things as well. And that's part of the manifestation of Allah creating acts in existence as He expresses His attributes subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is Ghafoor, Halim, Kareem, Mu'ti, Mughni, Ra'uf, Hannan, Mannan. أليس كذلك? It is. So these are the good things. When these names manifest in creation, we have the good things. But He is also what? Adl, just. He's Adl, just. And He's Qahar, irresistible, overwhelming. And He's Aziz, untouchable, unchallengeable. And He subhanahu wa ta'ala fa'alun lima yurid. He subhanahu wa ta'ala does what He wills to do. These are His other attributes. Allah is muntaqim, vengeful. That is included in adl, just. And these things are expressed, manifested in creation as well. So when something happens to you, something happens to us, we do not like, besides the apparent significance of that at the level of the sociological realities, beyond that, at the level of the haqa'iq, at the level of the spiritual psychologies, that is simply Allah's attributes of grandeur and of majesty are being expressed. And as long as I or you strive sincerely, underline my words, strive sincerely to obey Allah Azza wa Jalla, internally, inside of me, in my mind, in my feelings, in my emotions, in my heart, and constantly check that and evaluate that. Constantly. That's my full-time job. And my external consequent activities, born out of what I am inside. As long as I strive, that be in obedience to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Then when things happen, whether I see them, I perceive them as good or bad, you know what they are ultimately? Good. They are ultimately good for me. No doubt about it. We are tested by that which we do not like, so that the diseases inside of us are melted and removed. We are tried by hardships and difficulties, so that, especially those who claim to believe and have faith, so that that faith is true. So that the arrogance inside, the ghurur inside, the delusion inside, the conceitedness inside, the hate inside, etc. The greed inside, the miserliness inside, the predatory instincts inside, so that all of those are removed through hardship. Like when you heat up the mineral gold, you subject it to intense heat until it melts, and only then you can easily remove the impurities and you end up with pure gold. The fire. Metaphorically here, with hardships in our lives. And there are good things as well, alhamdulillah. And there are good things as well, alhamdulillah. Over all of this, sometimes, my beloved believing men and women, we may perceive something to be hurtful or inconvenient or bad, when in the knowledge of Allah it is better for us. Because most of us human beings are so selfish-minded and narrow-minded and narrow-hearted. Whereas in the grand scheme of things, that which we might construe as negative would be positive. And with that, a mu'min is always optimistic. Always. فعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون, says Allah Azza wa Jal. You know that sometimes you do not like something, but Allah knows it is good for you. And sometimes you want and love and desire and like something, but Allah knows it's detrimental for you. It's hurtful for you. And Allah knows, and you do not know. So when we do our best to strive to obey Allah, when things happen, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. And we take it positively. We take it positively. Also, change does not come simply by passivity or by hopeful and wishful thinking. First of all, I say this. Change, positive change, does not come simply by wishful thinking and passive attitudes. That's number one. It takes work. It takes doing. It takes striving. As long as we strive to obey Allah Azza wa Jalla. But I have to add that striving is not only the resources I use, the material approach I use, the rational approach I use in accordance to my rationale. Not only that, sometimes with that, I develop a sense of forgetfulness of Allah Azza wa Jalla. I remember me. I remember my action. I remember my activism. And I rely on all of that. And that's one of the worst mistakes we commit, and we have been committing. There is not enough dua. There is not enough sincere prayer. Dua. Most of our dua is at the tip of the tongue. And it lacks rootedness in the heart and in the soul. What is rooted in the heart and in the mind and in the soul are your resources. Which are necessary. But you take them as necessary and sufficient. We do not look at resources as necessary only, but never sufficient. And that the heart must be connected to Allah Azza wa Jalla. The heart must be connected to Allah Azza wa Jalla, not to your action, not to your means. And that's why when things happen, many of us implode inside because we were using those means and they didn't work. We voted. Hope you all did. Did you? You did what you could. And if for you it didn't work, then sometimes some people implode inside. Why? Because the reliance was on the means, on doing things. It's not on Allah Azza wa Jalla. And when that is lacking, when that lacks, when things don't go the way we plan them or we hope them to be, then we get hurt. Very hurt. And lose hope and despair. Allah, and the means are moral, ethical, legal, and shari'i legitimate, but my entire energy inside is Ya Mawlai. Just like when I take an aspirin or an Advil. I take that, you can take that. But some take that aspirin with Bismillah, Allahumma anta shafi. And there are those who take that with aspirin will do it. And if aspirin doesn't do it, one falls into frustration, anxiety, and despair. And that's the proof that I did not rely on Allah. Connect your hearts and your minds and your souls to Allah. Watch the moods inside of you and make sure they always are, to the best of your ability, are in resonance with what Allah loves. Don't indulge your emotions and your feelings. Don't indulge them when they are hurtful to others, when they are hurtful to a relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla. Even if they suit you, don't indulge them. That's being mindful of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And if you do that, nothing happens that will hurt you. And Allah will provide ways unanticipated to take care of you. As long as you know that Allah do take care of us in ways we do not necessarily approve of. Allah takes care of us sometimes in ways we do not necessarily approve of. And the one who surrenders his or her heart to Allah knows that in this he has to surrender to Allah. The world is the world. Everywhere it is Allah's subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everywhere it is His subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as long as I'm connected to Him, no matter where I am and when I am and under what condition, my garden is in my heart, as it is said. My roses, my lilies are in my heart. Wherever I go, I carry them with me. What else can happen to me? I was striving to come here, and many of you saw that. At the entrance of our masjid, there are some people demonstrating. But this time, they're demonstrating and saying to you, they are fellow non-Muslims, neighbors, fellow Americans, young women. Don't worry, you're not alone. We are with you. Did you plan that? Did you plan that? No, you didn't. The statistics is that the opposite happened. But it's not what happened. Maybe Allah knows that in this masjid there is khair. That in this masjid there are people who strive sincerely to connect their hearts and their souls to Allah. Any one of you could be that person. Sometimes, if there is only one person that way, Allah brings sukoor. Yes. If there is one person who is so sincere to Allah Azza wa Jalla, for that person, Allah brings sukoor to all. May our hearts be like that and find those people. Inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه طوبى للمستغفرين.